Hello my lovelies! I just wanted to start this video with a quick check-in that you're all doing well and that you and your loved ones are all okay. In some ways I think this lockdown is bringing out the best in people, and in many ways it's bringing people together. Metaphorically, of course. Anyway, I hope you are safe and well, so grab yourself a cup of tea or a biscuit and let's get planning! The theme for this May 2020 bullet journal setup is a little bit out of the ordinary for me. Because of the lockdown, I'm spending a lot more time at my house, and even though I still actually get to go out to work, I have way more time at home than I would normally do. So I've been finding a lot of hobbies that I haven't had time to do for a while, like my gardening and painting have really come back. Something I've been seeing a lot of people getting into at the moment as well, however, is sewing and quilting and even making clothes. It just got me thinking because sewing was something I used to do a lot with my grandma when I was a child, and I still have this amazing patchwork quilt she made me for like my 10th birthday. I used to make clothes and all sorts, so I thought this could be a really fun theme for this month, as well as a little shout out for my gran. I really wanted to go for that vintage sewing aesthetic, sort of like classic Vogue from sort of back in the 40s and 50s with lots of pastel colours and soft lines. The main doodles for this theme are a mannequin, but also a vintage sewing machine, which I really wanted to include, because I actually learned to sew on a machine from back in the 1920s, where you had to turn the handle to get it to sew because it was all mechanical. I had great fun choosing the doodles in the next few spreads, but for this front cover I wanted it to be super simple. I sketched out the mannequin and the dress, then used my Winsor and Newton watercolours to drop in some pale pink tones. I used a lot of water for this because I really wanted it to look very washy and faded, and I didn't want any clean or hard lines, so I deliberately let the washes bleed into the background. I know it looks a little bit messy now, but it looks a lot better when it dries, I promise you. So I let this dry and then I went over it using a fine liner. This month I'm mixing out my regular fine liners with a mixture of an AP Pigment liner, which has a 0.5 nib, and my new set of GuanNa calligraphy pens in a variety of different nib sizes. As always, I will add all the equipment I have used in the description boxes below. Because my cover page was so simple, I decided I'd go for a slightly larger quote than normal, and it reads, "Beautiful things come together one stitch at a time." I used my alphabet stamps for this, as well as a medium brush tip calligraphy pen, then finished the spread off with some washi tape. Okay, moving on to my calendar spread. This was a really simple calendar layout with plenty of space for everything I need to scribble down in the boxes. I carried on with my sewing doodles down the side, and they are honestly really simple to do. I was quite surprised how quickly I got into the motion of doing them. The sewing machine is a very classic hand machine, and then I added in the mannequin and a bolt of fabric, some cotton reels, some buttons, and then a needle and thread. I was originally going to use my watercolours for those really pale washy pastel colours again, but then I found out that the cover page had bled a little bit through because of how wet I'd been working, so I decided against that idea. Instead, I have a set of Stabilo highlighters in assorted pastel shades, so I decided to use those instead. They were a little brighter than I wanted, but I really liked the soft orange and the turquoise colour, so I think it worked out pretty well. Oh, and check out these super cute little bulldog clips I'm using this month. They have tiny little sloths on and they are honestly adorable. They're super cute. I will put a link in the description below if you're interested, because there are loads of different sloth designs and I will try and rotate them through for next month's setup and next time I do videos as well. Finishing off now with some washi tape and I am ready to move on. Okie dokie. I am super excited about this month's mood tracker because it is completely different from how I would normally do one. So instead of having lots of individual pictures separated out and then colouring them in each day depending on how my day's been, or even having like a line graph that I can add to, I was really thinking about sewing at my grand's house as a child, and she had this enormous sewing cupboard filled with absolutely everything you can think of, like reels of cotton and boxes of scrap material and ribbons and pincushions and just everything you can think of really. Anyway, I thought it would be super fun to use that to inspire my mood tracker, so I sketched out a shelving unit and then began to doodle lots of different sewing things on the shelves. So I added in balls of wool, some sort of little bags, bolts of fabric, a pincushion, and then I decided I can colour them in each day depending on how my day's been. It was so fun to do, and it really reminded me of being a little kid and organising all the different coloured threads and things in the sewing cupboard. Yes, even back then I was obsessed with tidying. I also added in a pair of scissors hung on a nail too, because I have this really clear memory of there always being a pair of fabric scissors hanging up that you couldn't use for anything other than fabric on pain of death. So I did all of these little doodles, and I am so excited for May to start so I can begin colouring them in. As there is quite a lot going on with my mood tracker this month, my habit tracker is really simple. I decided to work landscape rather than portrait and use my regular calendar boxes for the things I want to track this month. There are things I try to do every day, like drinking enough water and eating healthily and watering my plants and all of that fun stuff. I also added a box for social on there, and by that I mean getting in contact with people I probably don't message or call enough, like my sisters or old friends, both to check in that they're doing okay, but also because it's just really nice to catch up with people that I normally don't have the time to chat with. The only decoration I added to the spread was a tape measure, a little bit like a banner around my spread title, and then the coloured highlights for the things I want to track. My next spread is my scrapbook page, and here I am using my watercolours again. This spread is actually a pretty fluid space for me usually, and it does vary in how I use it from month to month. If I were to flick back to January or February, there's lots of tickets stuck in and little diary entries, but I get the feeling this month is going to be a lot about having space for writing lists and scribbling down things to remember. So I started out by mixing my watercolours to make a soft yellowy gold base colour. This is mostly yellow ochre and cadmium yellow, and then I went in with some highlights with a bit of lemon yellow, and the shadows are little drops of burnt sienna as well. And while that was drying, I wanted to add in a bit of a border around the page, so I decided to use my simple tape measure doodle again. My final spread in these setups is usually my first weekly spread, but with everything happening at the moment, I'm simply not using my weekly spreads as much as normal. So instead of a more traditional setup, I thought I would make a tasks double spread instead and really mix it up. I have 4 task boxes, so to speak, one for work, one for YouTube, one for errands and household stuff, and then one for anything miscellaneous, other things that I need to sort out. I added lots of my sewing doodles around the edge and added in some colour using my pastel pens as well. And here we have my final flip through for May. It's very different to my normal themes, but I really like that I tried something completely new and different. I think it looks really pretty, and it makes me feel quite nostalgic. I know so many people who really want to get into sewing, but they always say they don't know where to start. But you can create really beautiful little things fairly simply without needing to get a lot of equipment. Also, YouTube has loads of incredibly talented people doing tutorials as well, so if you do have a bit of free time, why not give it a go? I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for planning my May 2020 setup with me. You guys are absolutely awesome. If you did like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. You can also check out my Instagram in the description box below. Stay safe, my lovelies, and I hope you have a wonderful May.